Hey folks, welcome to our run of Urban Shadows 2nd Edition by Andrew Medeiros and Mark Diaz-Truman. As part of the Gauntlet Reading Club, we've used Nevo's The Chosen and The Beautiful to inspire the fictional setting. Before we jump into things, I wanted to do a round of introductions for anyone watching. We started on character creation last time, but we're going to kind of finish up the last parts of it on camera now. So instead of introducing your characters just yet, let's go through and introduce just who you are, and anything you'd like us to know about you or where to find you on the internet. I'll start. I am Stephen, he, him. I am emceeing this run of of Urban Shadows, and if you want to find me, mostly you'll just find these recordings that you are watching. If you look me up, is at Stephen Alligator. That is about all you need to know about me. I've been here in the Gauntlet for 2 years now, and I mostly stole the idea for the reading club from David, who I think we'll go to next, going counterclockwise.
Yeah, hi, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns. I've been playing games, playing and running games through the Gauntlet for a couple of years now, a few years now. I'm really looking forward to this. And yes, I did start off for the idea of the reading club, but Stephen has run the second of two very good series that he's currently running with it. I'm very glad to be here.
Cool. And Maria.
Oh yeah. Hello, I'm Maria. I use she, her pronouns. I've been on the Gauntlet for like 2.5-ish years now. And I am on Twitter at Yay for Books, where there are more and more cat pictures because I spend so much of my life just chasing my cat with a camera and taking pictures of her because she's cute. So you can find that, and sometimes things about games and also vague things I retweet. So yeah.
It's the standard metamorphosis of book person into cat person. But yeah, Kay, if you want to finish us off.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kay. I've been with the Gauntlet for about a handful of months at this point. I mostly do streaming games under Gehenna Gaming, Caring Comfort Studios, Vorpal Tales. And yeah, I'm very excited for my first participation within the book club.
Yeah, this game, as always, is hosted through the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is an online community mostly focusing on role-playing games of the indie and OSR varieties. Besides publishing a zine called The Codex, it also puts out several podcasts about role-playing games. And of course, it organizes a gaming calendar, which this and many other games are organized through every month. The calendar is open to non-members, so feel free to jump on over there through the link below if you're interested in playing with any of the folks here tonight or any of the other people on the Gauntlet. All Gauntlet games make use of an open door policy. We are all here to have fun and tell a story together. If something happens in real life and you become uncomfortable at the table, feel free to step away as long as you need. No one will hold it against you, and you are free to return whenever you feel ready. If you're able to let the group know if and when you expect to return, that would be helpful for the rest of us in terms of framing scenes. But we understand that sometimes emergencies happen, and it's not always possible. Besides the open door, we also make use of several other safety tools, including script change, the X card, and lines and veils. Lines and veils we have just taken care of going over again before camera. But to give just a refresher for myself here, the lines we are running with for this game are pandemics, sexual assault and violence, and NPCs named Mark, Sandy, and Zach. Veils, the stuff we're fine having in the game, but we don't want to see going into detail, and will generally have happen off camera or kind of gloss over the details of when they happen on. are homophobia, racism/speciesism, torture by PCs, transphobia, eye injuries, sexual content, suicide, and torture by NPCs. And the things that we are going to ask first about, this is just a reminder to check in with the group that everyone is all right with where the fiction is going whenever they show up, are suicide and bullying. Besides the lines and veils, we are also going to be making use of the X card. If at any point something in the fiction is making you uncomfortable, whether it's a particularly violent description or that an NPC is the same name as a friend, feel free to make an X sign with your arms, type X into the chat, or simply say X card. If someone signals the X card and I haven't noticed, whether because I'm speaking or looking away from the screen, feel free to interrupt me to call my attention to it. Either way, we'll stop the fiction and probably ask to clarify what you're X-carding, but there's no need to justify or explain your reasoning beyond that. Finally, we'll be making use of script change, which is a safety tool that uses video editing terminology to help us talk about our scenes. The first of these is pause, which asks us to stop the fiction and check in with everyone that they're happy with where the scene is going. After that is fast forward, which asks us to wrap the scene that we are currently in, maybe work out in broad strokes what happens, and move on to the next scene. And next is rewind, which asks us to return to something that has already happened in the fiction to change or remove it. Finally, there's frame by frame, which I've never used because often we end up resorting to another safety tool first. But frame by frame basically asks us to basically turn the safety tools up to max, up to max, as another member of the Gauntlet, Puckett, sometimes puts it. We will regularly stop to check in during a scene to make certain that everyone is comfortable. Basically, it's a situation where we really want to do a scene, but we realize it is a very dangerous or difficult scene to do. But we all agree we want to do it. So basically, it's a reminder for us that we want to tread lightly for everyone's safety. And it's just important to remember that all these safety tools, it's nice if you can remember the names. They're there to help us. But if you ever feel uncomfortable or unsafe and you can't remember the name of a safety tool, that shouldn't stop you from interrupting the fiction and saying, I need this. It doesn't matter if you can remember this particular terminology or not. So yeah, that takes us through going over the lines and veils. And as I said before, we had kind of started on basically statting out our characters last time. And now is our opportunity to kind of go through and really dig into what we had, kind of going through the kind of closing steps of relationships and finding out who these characters are. So this time I think we'll go around we started on David last time. So let's go reverse character keeper order this time. Put Marie in the hot seat of introducing Cleo Lim.
How much do you want us to go into who they are?
This is like the actual like kind of character creation intro. Mm-hmm. This isn't the like start of session like, hey, give me the one sentence pitch of who your character is. Right. Because I'll probably be asking some questions to flesh out some of these choices you've made.
Okay. So I guess Cleo Lim is our Spectre. She's a member of the Circle of Night. She, as far as I can tell from what I've thought about her so far, has some connection to speakeasies and was possibly some kind of like dancer or like dancing girl at a club or something. But she's dead now. And she's also in this photo wearing something that's not particularly dancer-like. So my imagining is that something happened in her life that changed her lifestyle prior to her death. And I have some ideas about that, what that might be, depending on what happens with like debts and injury questions, etc. I've got manifest and won't be ignored and conduit as moves. Let's see. I'm full of spirit, but not much mind. And I have a bunch of anchors, and I don't know if you want me to tell you what those are now, or...
Well, we can go into. I'd like to kind of maybe ask about two of them, just because to sort of get us in here. I wanted to check. So let's see. Yeah, I wanted just to kind of flesh out this NPC. You have a family member or inheritor unaware of your continued existence.
Yeah. So the thought I was having is that, like, I think Cleo was a dancing girl, found herself pregnant, and in order to find someone to take care of her kid, like made some deals with someone in like a church or like a temperance society that she would stop having like a particularly partyish nightclub, and they would take care or like help her take care of the child. But then something happened, and now they have to take care of the child, and possibly the baby was too young to know about her mother, if that works.
Cool. And I'm wondering how old is the child now?
I guess, how long ago did I die? Is there guidelines typically on if the specters are recently dead or not, or is that just entirely up to me?
That is entirely up to you. Like, the basic assumption of the game is that you have been in the city for a while, but how recently your death is. Let me see if I forget if there are any particular debt moves that might starting debt questions that might influence this. I mean, there is the one that someone or someone's progenitor was involved in your death, but that we have a demon and someone that has mystical powers, so there's always the potential that it could have been a while ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I'll go with like maybe the baby is 3 years old now, so I died 3 years ago and have been getting used to my unlife since then.
Cool. And I'm curious, because it says that you've kept your existence a secret from them. How have you been keeping tabs on this child in the meantime? Or have you like been trying to avoid them even though they're an anchor?
No, I keep an eye on them. I mean, it wasn't that hard when they were super young, when they were a baby, because you can just like peer at them through windows or flash in and out because they're not super. It might be scarring for the child, but like they're not. I don't know if they'd remember, but now that she or they are getting like older, I think I probably still like sneak, like do the thing where I don't manifest, but I like don't manifest entirely. Maybe they're just eyes peering out of things nearby, keeping a watch on the child.
Great. Awesome. And let's see here. Going back to characters. I'm curious, is there one of those two locations that you wanted to kind of flesh out? Like either the place you used to live or work, now abandoned, or a location of personal importance, a reminder of past love?
I will say the location of personal importance, I think, a reminder of past love. And my idea, even though I don't know much about what was around in 1920s New York, is like if there's some kind of museum or art gallery or something, which could have been where I met like the child's father, who I actually don't know if they're still around. Well, maybe they aren't, because what if they died in the war? And that's why I had to get someone to take care of the kid. Anyway, but yeah, like the place where I met them is like an art gallery with a very important painting or something one of those scenes where you sit in front of it and flirting happens, according to movies anyway.
Yeah, the Metropolitan has already been open for about
Okay.
it was open since like the 1870s. So.
Good. Then that works out.
Cool. And jumping over to here, so it sounds like you've been in the city for a fairly good while.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, because as a ghost, you also have this relationship to trauma. Where do you go when the trauma overwhelms you? To a person or to a place?
I think I go to where does this NPC live? I think I go to a cathedral, somewhere where there is like I listen to the choir singing, and possibly it's the cathedral that the archbishop is archbishop at. Or yes.
Are the parishioners there? Does Aloysius know that you is Aloysius trying to help you pass on, or have you kept your death a secret from him?
I don't think I've explicitly said that I am dead, but I think that maybe there are things that I've done, or perhaps in moments where I have not been as conscious of keeping myself like material or more alive, like I guess that maybe he can sense that I am more spirit than flesh.
Cool. And that is actually something I want to ask then. Is that common for humans, or is it something that you suspect is related to why he is a member of power? Like that he has some unique sense for the spirit world?
I think he has like a better sense of it. He might be like pretty perceptive. And I think like maybe I think that he doesn't have to work very hard to see like the blurry edges or like the slight translucency. Whereas around other humans, it's easier. I don't have to work hard at all to be considered definitely normal. Absolutely normal. Nothing weird about me at all.
Yeah, and where does Cleo go when she wants to feel? Well, actually, yeah, where does Cleo go when she wants to feel alive?
Where does she go? I think she goes back to what was once very very common and everyday to her. She goes back to speakeasies that she used to dance at before she got pregnant, and then decided to leave a life of dancing.
Awesome. Do you still ever take the stage, or is that something you've closed yourself off to?
I don't do it anymore. I think I just watch now, and maybe if I see like another girl or another person in the same situation as me, I try to give them some like backstage advice, but who knows whether Cleo's advice is good or not. But yeah,
She did end up an unwed mother, so
yeah. We don't know whether or not she thinks what she did is the best choice, but
yeah. No, great, cool. So yeah, I have a sense of Cleo here. Does David or Kay have anything they want to ask of Cleo?
Does Cleo know the child's name?
I think from the years of being a creepy ghost in mirrors and like spying on the child, she's probably overheard it. What is the child's name? I want to say it's like Franny or something.
Oh, that's cute.
That is the name that like the people who took the child and gave her.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, did you have anything you wanted to ask David?
I don't think so for the minute. I think that's. I think I've got an idea of
Cool.
Of what they're like. So no, that's cool. Thank you.
So yeah, and actually, I remembered now that okay, it looks like you actually decided to settle down on your benefactor there, Kay.
Yes.
So yeah, Kay, how about you introduce us to Byron Emmett / Red Emmett. Oh, okay, no, I see. Byron
Okay.
Red Emmett Reddington Prescott V.
Yeah. So he is very young and very new to the city. Emmett is an oracle. He comes actually from down south, from a rather prominent family on both sides, but the prominence for his paternal side is very mundane, whereas the real prominence is the Reddington line, which is the matrilineal line from his family, which contains the sort of oracle where that's been, and it's been like a whole thing with like particular marriages and societal bringing. But one thing that's rather atypical is there has not been in any, at least the current generation's memory, living generations, a male oracle in their family. And so that was sort of a shock for them, but like a not necessarily unpleasant one, which is how he ended up with the dual middle names, because usually the women carry on the Reddington name, but he had the abilities, so they should throw that in there too. Once that sort of manifested. About a year ago, he actually ran away from home, from the South, where he was probably somewhere like Baton Rouge, and decided that he didn't like what was going on there. He'd had a lot of freedom when he was younger as just a young male from a good family, and then suddenly with his powers and being an oracle, there was all this pressure on him, and suddenly a move to marry quicker, and also to sort of feed into this like familial order of oracles and study his gifts and then use his gifts for things that he wasn't entirely sure he felt comfortable with. And it just all culminated in him running away. About half a year ago, he ended up in the city where he felt like he needed to be. It also felt like a big enough place where his family wouldn't know him or find him. So he usually goes by Red. He's about 18, 19 years old. Usually goes by Red because it's an easy name to hide by and something he'll remember. But those close enough to him will know him as Emmett. That is his chosen an actual given name. He's a bit on the sort of softer, shyer side, used to sort of the more grooming that kind of came with his southern upbringing. And his power schemes are Foretellings, which is a start of the game move, and Skim the Surface. And I think I'm thinking Soothsayer for the other one. Then there is his patron, who is Chandler Wentworth, the twin brother to our starting Christine Wentworth. He is a powerful wizard, and he is both. Sorry, I have to just go back. He is the only one who could guide Emmett to their apparent true destiny. They wield significant supernatural power, and their minions are disciplined and loyal, but they are also madly in love with Emmett and terrifyingly violent and cruel.
Cool. So I do want to ask here. Wentworth, you say is madly in love with Emmett. Is this currently well? I should ask first off: is this reciprocated? And B, is this an actual relationship, or is this currently unconsummated?
I think it's currently unconsummated, and I think the question of whether it's reciprocated is sort of a bit dicey because of the power dynamics there. Emmett fully financially, he does care for Chandler, and thinks very highly of him and is impressed by him. But there's also he lives with, Chandler fully monetarily supports him and sort of guides him through this entire world that he was, very much unaware of. So it's sort of he has these feelings, but it's interestingly questionable.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably to detail, because it says based on that I should let you know what Wentworth gives you. I think it's probably a fashionable downtown apartment, a nice car, and a quote unquote what might be the
An allowance.
Well, yeah, the allowance, but I'm thinking a quote unquote driver.
Oh, okay, a driver, yes.
Yes, who may have other skills and may make the occasional report back to Wentworth, because
yes.
Wentworth, as we see, is used to controlling people and has a penchant for violence.
Yes. So yeah. Should we do the intro questions or?
Yeah, we can run through those. If we jump over to.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you came from a long line, and we kind of went into. It sounds like they manifested fairly young.
Yeah. So he sort of actually manifested a little older, which was why it was sort of unexpected and shocking. Because I think usually the manifestation happens around somewhere between 10 to 13. And Emmett was 15 when his powers manifested. And especially because in their family bloodline, it was a feminine thing. So it was sort of this is not how this typically works for their gifts and their prominence. So that was it was caught between is this a magical gift unicorn or is this a bad sign? And they decided to go with gift unicorn.
Cool. Right. And also, I think we kind of got into this in talking about the background of your character, but it sounds like you have not been in the city particularly long. You've arrived here recently.
Yeah, I'd say he's maybe been in the city for 5 or 6 months, and probably for most of that has been under Wentworth, let's call it care. So he really hasn't actually explored that much of the city.
Interesting. So this brings us, I think, to the other question that I was gonna get to this a little bit after, but did you actually approach your benefactor, or did did Wentworth actually like find you on your arrival to the city somehow?
That's a good question. I was originally thinking I found him, but it could be interesting if he found me. Maybe he found me, but I managed to make him trust me with the secret I knew, and the fact that I said I'd known it for months and didn't tell anyone. Which was, I showed him exactly what happened with his sister and her husband's death.
Wonderful.
But maybe he found me. Maybe I was sort of like, had been there for like a week or two, and I was running low on the money that I had started taking from home, and I was trying to figure out what my next move was. And he just like sat down at like the diner counter where I was sitting having a milkshake. Or an egg cream, perhaps. Maybe that's more appropriate.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna ask, how aware are you of how much he is black of like the current power struggle between him and his sister here? Because it sounds like this might be important.
Nothing. I know nothing. In fact, they're twins, and I think they're bosom buddies, and they're a very good family.
Great. And has the sister approached you? Like, have you met the sister?
I think I've met her. I think I've attended what I did not necessarily realize were very tense dinners. Where like, it's like me in the middle seat and then him on one end and her on the other end. And I'm just like, yes, this was how a lot of my family dinners were growing up. So I think this is totally normal. Meanwhile, they're like trying to murder each other with their eyes. Maybe, I'm not sure. Who knows?
Yeah. And I want to ask, what has she offered you to like leave her brother's service?
Oh, what has she offered me? I think maybe she is very friendly with Alex Affair, who she's like brought around. And so like through him, she's sort of been trying to influence him that Mr. Wentworth is just too controlling. He's like maybe Alex and I have been sort of like palish and a friend, maybe something even more between Alex and I every now and then. And he thinks that like Wentworth like keeps me locked up and that I'm young and I like have so much to explore and live and just come to like be pounding around with him, enjoying all the vivacious revelry of the city. And he's like, what's the point of like hiding such a wonderful, handsome, like, young man away in a townhouse when there's a city to enjoy. And maybe he's doing that under the auspice of the sister.
Cool. And I'm wondering, you also have a prophecy, and I'm wondering, because you believe that Chandler Wentworth alone can guide you to your true destiny and purpose. Do you have any sense of what that is?
Nope. He doesn't know. I think part of why he sort of ran was, I think maybe when you like hit 18, there's like a special ceremony where they like unveil where they like the older oracles sort of find out what your prophecy is. And then there's like, I guess probably some important decision making. And he was nervous and scared about that. And that's why he ran away. So he never actually found out what his prophecy is.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. And I want to shift then to introducing first off, does Maria or David have any questions they wanted to ask of Red or Emmett?
I was wondering, what does Emmett do in his free time? Is he is he, I can't remember if he said, does he do parties or does he?
So I think he's intrigued by parties, but he hasn't been really allowed to attend them unless he was exactly on Wentworth's arm.
I see.
Or like inside. I think he's like snuck out maybe once or twice, and like he does. I think he does actually enjoy dancing.
Okay.
I think he knows like a lot of like classical dances from like being raised in that kind of society.
Yeah.
But there's something like so loose about dancing there, and so like maybe Alex has gotten him to sneak away to some like clubs here and there and speakeasies, things like that. But I think until like very recently, where he's kind of maybe starting to attempt to put his foot down a little more, he's mostly just been doing like a lot of reading in this townhouse. But he's kind of like with like Alex sort of chittering in his ear, perhaps at Christine's behest. He's been like, I kind of really actually want to see the city and explore things. We didn't have speakeasies back home.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I also think that covers everything for me. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
Cool. And then finally, we are coming around to Dante, our imp.
Yeah. So yeah, I will be playing Dante Brichese, who also goes by Brix. He is he owns a speakeasy, runs a speakeasy in the city. It is because I couldn't resist called the Inferno. It's a it's a speakeasy particularly popular with the supernatural crowd. It sort of operates as like neutral territory, a meeting space, that sort of thing. He also traffics in various magical goods under the table, including demoniac, but also stranger artifacts and the like. A lot of stuff like that passes through his club. Dante himself is probably in his mid-20s, thereabouts, maybe a little older. He is, by this point, relatively well established in the city, though in real terms, he's probably not been here for like a huge amount of time. He moved over from Italy during the war. However many years ago that would have been relative to where we are now. He was his club is located in Manhattan. He grew up. Well, no, he didn't grow up, but he first moved to the Lower East Side. It was in one of the gangs there. After sort of the earlier gang wars between various gangs, it sort of ended up with sort of the mafia taking over. He's sort of moved out of the. He is no longer a member of one of the organized crime gangs per se, but he obviously still very much runs with that crowd. He sort of moved out to start off his own business, as it were. Almost certainly pays his local boss off, but it is sort of no longer a member of a gang. Dante also has at some point during his life, back when he was still in Italy, entered into a contract with a powerful demon who I have not yet named, but will do so. But he sort of managed to worm his way out of that particular arrangement, in a way that his previous patron kind of has to accept, but doesn't have to accept graciously. And there is still considerable bad blood between them. I've sort of covered with the establishment, the services that the place provides are operating a gathering place, a place of power, and appraising and selling magical objects. Currently, two assets associated with my establishment, which is that it has a moving or hidden location to which only I control access. I think where the doorway to the club is, it changes a little bit. It's again always in Manhattan, in some of the sort of like more industrial areas of the city, and it's in that way that like the less supernaturally inclined people probably pass it off as like as just being different warehouse basements that he kind of temporarily sets up in, rather than the truth, which is a kind of small extra dimensional space that Dante maintains control over. The other asset that I currently have is a powerful and loyal regular in another circle. And I think this is the Archbishop of New York, Aloysius Tierney. The two have a kind of one of those sort of odd couple type relationships where Dante is constantly trying to lead the Archbishop into temptation. The Archbishop is trying to redeem him. They kind of score the odd point against each other, but largely it's a sort of fairly amiable stalemate. Their primary kind of business relationship is Dante keeps the Archbishop supplied with a good line in whiskey, which he trades for the odd case of sacramental wine, on the pretense that it's difficult to get your hands on wine in general as a smuggled good, though the sacramental wine he does trade for probably ends up in slightly less salubrious uses.
Yes, it's why some of the famous rum runners were Catholics and rabbis.
Yeah. The troubles that I'm dealing with currently with my establishment are a dangerous competitor edging in on my market. Again, I haven't determined a specific person for this yet, but there are all sorts of rivals in the underworld, and one of those is someone who is kind of eager to push Dante out of the market. It could potentially be Bill McCoy, who I think is one of the ones we've already set up, or it might be someone else, and someone who's more into the speakeasy side of things. But the other trouble I currently have is my demonic ex-liege seeking my immediate return. So yeah, I think that is broadly where I am at with Dante at the minute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't actually describe him. So he's a probably unsurprisingly for a gangster slash speakeasy owner of the day, dresses in very fashionable, very sharp suits. Always very neatly put together, slick back hair, clean shaven, nicely manicured. takes good care of himself. He's handsome in a slightly sinister way. Has quite an intense stare, but has carries himself with a lot of charm in general. He what was I going to say? No, I've lost it. I don't think it was important.
Cool. And so, yeah, I guess I will just ask, because you mentioned the name. What scan did you pull on Bill McCoy? And how does he know it was you?
Yeah, I think back when I was first going independent and I was still kind of struggling to make ends meet, I think I paid Bill off for a shipment of demoniac with Fey gold, which promptly turned into leaves the next morning.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, it sounds like, do you consider, because some of the stuff in the Imp makes reference to family, do you consider this kind of fort gang that you used to run with your family?
That's right. Yeah, I think these days Dante mostly considers, it's more of a found family thing. He didn't come to America with his family. He came alone. With his birth family, he came alone. And yeah, I think some of the old gang members, and this was one of the back in the old days of the Lower East Side. So he had sort of friends across various different backgrounds, of Jewish, Irish, a whole melange of people living down on the Lower East Side, mostly all immigrants, obviously, but and that's sort of extended these days as well to sort of people he works within the clubs, and just like the few people dotted around the nightlife scene in general.
Cool. And yeah, I'm wondering, who in your family have you had to pull out of the fire on more than one occasion?
Yeah, I think that there is there's a girl called what will be I'm just blanking on names. Her name is Laura Donahue. She is she sometimes dances, but I think mostly what she is a very skilled card player who is she is a con artist and gambler, and I think she has on more than one occasion kind of got herself into trouble with pulling something on the wrong mark, and Dante has kind of stepped in to smooth things over.
And finally, who does Dante turn to when he's in trouble?
Yeah, I think he has a friend, someone who's a bit like an older brother to him when he first moved here. Their name is Luca Luca Volpe. He has sort of maintained his ties with the he's been brought into one of the local mafia families. And I think he kind of still has Dante's back.
Do you think Dante knows the Wentworths at all? And if so, how so? Thoughts, vibes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll say they probably don't. It's probably underestimated. They probably don't move in the same social circles. Put it that way. But I'm sure that if they have any interest at all, both in either or the the New York nightlife in general, but also specifically if they might be interested in the magical artifact trade, which it sounds like they probably are. They may well have had dealings with Dante before. I think Dante's probably a bit wary of them because they're a powerful family in a very different way to what he's used to dealing with. He knows probably better than to cross them. But like I said, unless you think it's likely that either of them might have done, probably doesn't have like a social relationship with them.
Yeah, and answering the specifics will definitely be something we resolve in a role when it comes up.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
I was gonna ask, when you deal with the Archbishop, is it always like the Archbishop going to your establishment, or have you ever gone to the cathedral to do dealings?
I think it's actually probably more the other way around.
Okay.
I think actually the Archbishop probably he's a regular to the business, as it were. I don't know he's necessarily a regular to the place, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possibly more likely that that Dante goes to him more often. I think.
Cool.
But yeah.
So yeah, we have we have just gone through all of introducing the characters. So now I think we'll go back around, and if folks could jump over to the tab that says starting debts, that has there the list of questions for each of the playbooks you are running with. And if we could start with Dante. Now, there are 3 questions there. The third, I think we'll probably go to an NPC, maybe one we've established up to this point. But we'll just kind of go through them, and you can throw them out for volunteers of who wants what. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go read them all through first. So my initial ones are: someone is a consistent patron or customer of my establishment, regularly relying on you for your services or assistance. They owe me 2 debts. You offered someone work when no one else would give them the time of day. Ask them if it worked out in your favor, and they owe me a debt either way. And finally, you partner with someone on your schemes, both of you profiting in equal measure, and we owe each other 2 debts. So yeah. I feel like So that's my train of thought there. Yeah. So I was wondering, Maria, do you think that Dante and Cleo might have worked together before? Does Cleo work in the in her current form?
I was actually wondering, yeah, like, are you thinking about the third one or the second one?
I was thinking either the second or the third, possibly, yeah, depending on what you think. I guess how involved you think she might be in what Dante gets up to, and yeah.
I think like maybe, yeah, she would work because I think she's sticking around mostly to keep an eye on her daughter, and but you can't just be a ghost and do nothing the rest of your life. So I think like, yeah, what kind of help would you want?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like if we went with the second one, Dante would be perfectly happy to keep employing you as a dancer if that was, something you wanted to do. But if you wanted to be more like involved in the more, I suppose, yeah, dodgier side of things, we could go for the third one and work out what we might have done together.
Yeah, I guess like I was thinking that maybe Cleo isn't dancing anymore, but now that I think about it, like maybe she wants to feel alive more often than not. And
I mean, you talked about the idea that Cleo offers advice. Is Cleo managing dancers these days?
Ooh, I could manage dancers.
Yeah, that could be cool. Like talent scout, choreographer type deal.
Yeah, and I feel like it probably worked out in your favor. You don't really have to pay Cleo. She doesn't really need material things.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So yes, I think that means that you owed me a debt for that one. I just work out where.
No, you owe each other 2 debts.
Oh no! So I thought it was the second one we went for. The someone worked when no one else would give them the time.
Okay. Okay, I see. I thought you were still talking about the third.
No, sorry. I think.
I think this one's a little bit more. I'm working for Dante. Yeah. Where do I put this down? Is this on the first?
Yeah, 29? You'll want to. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm a little unsure where I feel like I don't know how much Emmett might fit between these two.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking a little bit almost if Cleo wanted to take the third, because I feel like maybe Emmett worked for Dante when he first came to town.
That could be a thing, yeah. I was gonna say maybe too, but then you guys were talking about it, so I didn't want to interrupt. But because maybe, go for it.
Oh, go ahead. If you have an idea, I can figure out maybe how it would work for number 3 too.
Yeah, because maybe where they actually met, and maybe that's why they return there more often than other clubs when the few times they do, is because maybe you just got him like a quick job at your place when he like first got into the city. He's a cute, handsome young lad. He'll, just being there will be good for the bar, just sort of like, he probably wasn't that great at making drinks, but he could like clean up a little or something like that. You could teach him. You taught him to make like, what's one drink that Dante got him to learn to make? And actually be good at it.
I think we'll just go with the classic Manhattan. Nice and easy, and covers up the taste of slightly cheap bourbon.
He learned how to make Manhattans, and that was maybe he was like had just finished and was on his break, and it was the night was winding down, and he had sat down, and that's when like the scoop had happened. So I don't work for you anymore, and I worked for you kind of briefly, but like there's a bit of a tenuous connection there, and perhaps it's why we frequent your establishment versus others. Yeah,
awesome. In which case, if we go for that third one for me and you, Maria, I'm wondering if I still think like the same idea works out, but maybe like Cleo is like a permanent employee
Yeah.
at the club rather than.
I'm wondering, if it's like a stage manager person by night and like take advantage of my ghostliness by day if you need like someone to do something unseen.
Yeah, that's cool.
I can
Yeah,
do that for you, and maybe like in exchange, I just like I if I need someone to do something more material for my daughter, I can use
yeah.
your
Maybe
people.
I essentially am like paying your wages into a trust fund essentially for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if, because one of your anchors is a former workplace that is now abandoned, does Cleo have dreams of reopening that? And is like finding showgirls part of the path, your imagined path to that?
I don't know. I think I don't know if she wants to reopen it as a club. I think she wants to reopen it as like a shelter so that people don't have to go turn to like perhaps slightly nefarious temperance people, I don't know, to hand over their children. So maybe it's some sort of a like, just like a center program or something where people can just stay if they need to.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. I might come back to an NPC for the third one and see what else we kind of get out in this bit, and if it makes sense to link in with that.
Cool. Yeah, so turning over then, I want to turn over to our Oracle, and you also have your starting set there. Did you have any thoughts on who you want to hand out debts to, Red?
Should I read them out first?
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, I'll read them out for everyone. Someone helps decipher your visions with unique insights. You owe them 2 debts. You had a dark vision about someone but gave bad guidance. You owe them a debt. Someone interfered with your destiny. They owe you a debt. Tell them if you've forgiven them, they owe you another debt. Or if you still hold a grudge, or tell them if you've forgiven them. They owe you another debt if you still hold a grudge for their actions. Does that ping for anyone in any way, shape, or form?
I could see maybe the first one. Someone helps decipher your visions with unique insights.
Mm-hmm. Does Cleo, as a spirit of the dead, have unique insight into kind of mystical visions?
And
this is just fiction world building.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's also just like Cleo's lived a lot of life.
Yes.
Cleo's lived slightly more life than Emmett. I think Cleo, it's maybe like that. Cleo has seen a lot more of the city than Emmett, and like if there's something like really confusing, she could just be like, oh, that's that place downtown. Actually, I know what that looks like because I've had a lot of time to wander around in my death and know a lot more than I used to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that mystical particularly.
But just maybe like it sounds like you were like born and raised in the city, and like have lived here, been through here, gone through all these different parts, and you've also like lived a very differentiated life, and now death, where you can sort of go through to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I owe you 2 debts.
I can see either of the other two working for Dante. I think, from my perspective, I'd be happy with going with either one of those. I think probably if Dante interfered with your destiny, it was probably unintentional. Well, the interfering with the destiny aspect of it was unintentional anyway. But you know, the actual action may not have been. But but I'm also if you think the bad advice one would be interesting as well, I'm also cool with that. So it sort of depends which one you think is more interesting to you, really.
Did Dante try to warn Red off
I was
of getting
just
involved? Yeah.
I was just about to say that. I was like, did you try and warn me or keep me away at first from Chandler Wentworth? Like, I know this guy. I know what he's about. You're young. You're naive. You're new to the city. And I'm not that great of a guy, but this guy, oof.
Yeah, that's cool, actually. Yeah, I like that. That works well.
Mm-hmm. And I think just Emmett/Red being Emmett/Red, he forgave you. You're good. He's not the type to hold a grudge.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah, I like that. That works. That works well. Also, I'll just put it in the thing. But yeah, I realized my third one, my regular customer, that obviously has to be Ophelia, because Ophelia sounds awesome and fits very well with what I'm looking for.
Let's see. Who did I give bad advice to? Let's look at these city hubs.
Oh, yeah, and to clarify, you really only need to track the debts that are owed to you, because you can't really do anything with debts that you owe, like mechanically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So just it makes tracking a little bit easier if you don't have to track both.
At least for my brain, if you don't mind, I like to track both. Just
that's fine. I just thought sometimes people don't realize that that only one way sort of mechanically, quote unquote, matters. Yeah, cool. So yeah,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think maybe I accidentally gave bad insight or advice to let's see, who do I want to get in here? That's fun. Oh, Anna Stokes, just to shove that in there. Ooh, or do we like Anna Stokes or do we like Mrs. Dulce?
I mean, who do you want to owe a debt to more, Emmett, is the question here.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's not owe a debt to Anna Stokes. Let's go Mrs. Dante. Or actually, sorry, I'm very indecisive. I'm like, these are really good characters. Okay. Do I do Miss Dulce or do I do Darius Flint? Does anyone have an opinion or insight as I'm being indecisive, who they might like to see more of?
I'm also indecisive.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm cool with. I think both of the characters are really interesting. I think. I'm just being indecisive too.
Yeah, I think I might just flip a coin.
Fair.
All right, I'm gonna flip a coin. All right. Heads, Darius Flint. Tails, Miss Dulce. I'm gonna use my little flipper. Oh. And we've got a heads. Okay. So
Cool.
I owe a debt to Darius Flint, who maybe, let's see, if Dragging the Guys of Street Edition, people say his songs keep you warm in the cold streets, and as you just take the time to listen. I think maybe, what kind of bad advice could I give? I think I saw a prophecy where he tried to take something for his hoard from someone else. And I was like, totally go for it. That would be a great thing for your hoard. And what I didn't realize is the person that he was like taking it from or attempting to take it from was just not going to happen. And he maybe got a bit injured, and I feel kind of bad.
Idea here, the person was your patron.
Hell yeah. I didn't even realize because it was at one of Chandler's other estates, so I didn't recognize it. Let's be real, probably the estate where his wife and kids are. Yeah, okay, I owe Darius.
Cool. And that brings us over to Cleo for your starting debts. If you want to read out your debt statements.
All right. So someone or someone's progenitor was involved in your death. They owe you a debt. Someone is actively watching over one of your angers. Ask them why they agreed to keep it safe, and I owe them 2 debts. Or someone almost destroyed one of your angers once, perhaps by accident. Ask them what happened. They owe you 2 debts. Any of these call to anyone?
Yeah, and for progenitor, I think that definitely could apply either to Asmodeus or Wentworth. Even though neither of them are technically progenitors in like the traditional sense.
What are your other? So can you remind me just quick less what the anchors are?
The anchors. So the anchors are a location of personal importance, a reminder of past love, which is a like particular painting in a gallery at the Met. A beloved possession of my youth passed down to a new owner. That's going to be a pair of point shoes from when I was starting to dance, before I changed the kind of dance I did. A family member or inheritor unaware of my continued existence, which is Franny, my daughter. And a space you used to live or work abandoned by the world, which is the, I think it's the like abandoned speakeasy, like husk of a speakeasy, because it got damaged in the fire that I died in, but it's not all the way torn down. So it could be rebuilt if need be.
Yeah. So I like that from my perspective, the second one, the watching over one of your anchors, makes sense with what we've already established, but it also doesn't say anything more than we've already established.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I'm not sure whether to pick that or to go for something different, but that one certainly makes sense because from what we've already sort of said. But yeah.
I
mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I imagine that one is probably less likely for Emmett. I feel like either the first or the third would probably be a good one.
I could also throw out that maybe the particular location anchor, like maybe I didn't know it at the time, but maybe now in my death I see it. Like there's something magical about the painting. Like it could be an artifact for like Dante to watch over, or something.
Maybe it's a pretty valuable thing too.
Yeah.
Maybe Dante tried to get a hold of it and sell it at some point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, I am not tied to dying in a fire. So if anyone wants to change how I died to make a death make more sense, I'm totally cool with that too.
I mean, I could definitely see that either Asmodeus or Wentworth might have burnt the place down somehow as part of some power play.
Insurance fraud.
Yeah.
whenever our building burned down, my first thought. But yeah, I think it's possible you could have been like a simple casualty in the fact that like whoever owned your speakeasy or your building had just crossed the Wentworths.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to do that. Or someone is actively watching over one of your anchors. Or I mean, yeah, I feel like that one's probably a good one.
Which one?
If you're okay with that, that Wentworth was involved in your death.
Yeah.
Like that you were just an unfortunate callous casualty.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, and I think I will go for that second one of like I said, actively watching over one of your anchors, and I think the simple reason is because kind of as already mentioned, Dante does clearly does have some affection for sort of the people he works with, the dancing girls and the like. So I think when you sort of came to him and had the said about your daughter and that, I think he was happy to kind of check in and keep an eye from a distance on her.
Okay. I owe you two more debts.
Yeah.
Just so much debt.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Cleo, how do you know, because otherwise you wouldn't really be having this debt, how do you know that that Wentworth had a hand in your death?
So maybe he did this as a way to show that, like, speaking of debt, that someone who owed him a debt, like, you need to pay up. So like there's a scene, we get like one of those very typical almost like movie scenes where like Wentworth sort of walks through the ashes of this burnt building and like meets up with your the owner or whatever, and he's just like, shame this had to happen. Like, and there's some kind of either exchange, maybe even of the deed of the place or something.
And I'm just
other.
Like my specter, my spirit is like rising from the ashes or just like floating in the background because I just like died, and this is like the first thing I see is like this incredibly rich looking person confronting someone. It's like, who the heck are you? What did you do this for?
What a pity. I heard a dancer lost their life. Such a shame. Kick something over. Like, just.
I wonder who that other person was. Who owed Wentworth the debt?
I mean, I'd maybe say looking through, is this maybe... Was this maybe an establishment owned by Bill McCoy?
Ooh, that could be fun.
That could be fun, yeah.
Cool.
What's the relationship between Bill and Dante again? Was there one?
I think Bill McCoy is a rival that wants to destroy Dante's establishment.
Okay.
Yeah. I ripped him off once with...
yeah. So just got to keep that in mind because I saw this meeting between the person who caused my death. Although I don't know if I know that Dante and Bill have that relationship. So that's all fun.
Cool. And who do you think almost destroyed one of your anchors? I mean, is this just we've been building this out? Is this Wentworth? He did burn down the...
I forgot what my other anchors were again.
Could it be the other Wentworth?
Christine?
The sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sister. I love the fact that they're just terrible together, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, because I think unless
I mean, was this Wentworth took over the place, and then Christine like had a hand in why it never got reopened?
Yeah, why it never became anything more than just property he has right now.
yeah, like
is
they
because
did
she
enough to clean
did
it
not-
up, but okay, yeah, sure.
She's definitely got him caught in some kind of terrible historical bullshit, like society, where it's like, oh, you can't remake this or do this. This is a historical property.
It's a historical burnt dust.
Burnt out.
Those darn Wentworths
Yeah.
ruining my life.
Yeah, and then going back around, if we go over to the city hub, besides the kind of we've already basically been building this out, but besides the starting debts, every character can also gets to claim a relationship in addition to everything we've established with a important member of the city hub. And so each player, and I'm going to go around and start with you, Cleo, gets to pick one of the residents and decide why they owe you an additional one debt in addition to whatever we've decided to begin with.
And this is from like from the residents up above.
Yeah.
There's so many. I think while doing like some delivery work for a few of the more popular eateries downtown, or maybe other work for Dante, I caught Anna Stokes in a scandalous situation.
Oh no, you can definitely claim that one, but that is another relationship you have with one of the other PCs.
Oh, okay. This is for another PC. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone want to be caught in a scandalous situation? Oh wait. Okay.
I mean, that definitely can be a thing. Do Dante or Red want to be caught in a scandalous situation?
I'm always up for a scandalous situation, but I don't know that there's much that Dante would actually be scandalized by. So probably not.
I would be happy to do that. Emmett's a young ingenue, so he probably doesn't realize certain societal faux pas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Red definitely seems to me like someone who would just sort of fall into a scandalous situation.
Mm-hmm.
What do they offer to buy your silence, and why is it still not enough?
Oh, okay. I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You caught me and Alex in a private, intimate moment.
Yes.
And
Wentworth. Wait.
Yeah, and you can't tell Wentworth because Wentworth will probably kill Alex.
And do you know why it's still not enough? Because I need revenge. Oh,
yeah, because you need enough. You need revenge. Exactly. You need to hurt Wentworth, and the best way to hurt Wentworth is this person who seems to mean a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
And to show because I feel like it's sort of that weird, gross thing where it's cute to Wentworth when they're sort of dancing together or maybe even kissing, but the fact that there could be something real. Oh, either, both? Question mark.
Okay. Cool.
All the above.
Cool.
Maybe it's cute to them, like when they're dancing together or when they kiss, but when like the moment when it's something real, they're like, whoa. This could be something.
Cool.
But yeah, so what is, and the other thing you get to pick is pick one of the residents and
Okay.
and say why they owe you a debt as well.
Oh.
So this could either be a resident that already owes you some debt, or it could be someone that owes you, or someone that we haven't described your relationship with yet.
I will pick Mrs. Dulce. And I think she owes me because I helped her find some dancers that went missing. And it wasn't like that they were trying to leave her. It was just that like maybe they'd been lured away by a less than great person, and I had been watching him all night and was like, no, we are going to not be put in a situation, and we are going to go back to the myth.
Cool. Are you often someone people reach out to for that kind of help?
I don't think so. I think they don't often know that it's something that I can do, because I still, I think, I feel like maybe they underestimate me based on what I look like.
Yeah. And just maybe Mrs. Dulce, as someone who is also a member of Night, knows of your ghostliness more than other folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And coming around to Red, who is someone you have a resident you have a relationship with? And why do they owe you?
I think it's Alex.
Okay.
I think I stopped a particularly aggressive supernatural suitor who would like not leave well enough alone. And I did it sort of maybe both by my own prophetic means and being like, I'm going to give you bad shit, but also like the weight behind the fact that like this is a Wentworth kept, like this is one of the Wentworths kept people. Like if you fuck with this, you will die.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And Dante, who do you think you have a relationship with in the city?
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick someone I haven't already mentioned. So I'm going to go with. No, like I said, I think I won't go for Christine Wentworth. I'm going to go for Darius Flint, and I think that Dante occasionally hires him to play at the club, and possibly I think that's.
I think that if we were just, I think that I wasn't necessarily seeing it as sexual assault or coercion. I think if we leave it at, sorry, this is to.
This is to the chat.
Line. Yeah, this is to a line. Maybe it was just a kind of a very aggressive like encounter at a club and you stopped it before it really went anywhere. Does that work?
Okay, that works. Or I just like offered an alternative if we just want to take it off completely and just say like maybe they were in a demoniac induced haze and were like in danger of running into traffic or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry, didn't see who that was from. I was thinking it was the one with Alex Ophir.
No.
I had thought more that it wasn't necessarily sexual assault or coercion. It was.
Yeah, the Alex thing I was thinking of more as like a "Why won't you be with me?" I don't think
Yeah.
like more of an intimidation than a
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that maybe it was just a really bad like labor situation as dancers, not necessarily that it was like a like being like forced into like being prostitutes or something.
Yeah. Can we just change it though? Because
Sure.
I kind of do like the idea that like there's like more of the chosen in the beautiful world with like demoniac being involved, in maybe
Maybe
like
some of the
things.
devils of the sea just wanted a sacrifice.
Yeah, you know.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, David, for interrupting you. So
No, that's okay. I think I said everything anyway, so that's
yeah, I wanted to ask though, because he does owe you a debt. So I feel like this is just a little bit more of him that you've hired him in the past. I'm wondering, has one of his songs actually caused a problem for you? Because I think it's implied his songs have mystical potency.
yeah. I'm wondering if maybe he maybe he played kind of a song that kind of led to everyone getting I'm just trying to decide which way I want to go with it. That basically in some way like caused the like the night to get particularly rowdy. Not that it's necessarily a quiet place at the best of times, but like even for the Inferno, it was it caused a scene.
Yeah, it caused like damage you had to
exactly.
deal with. Cool. And so since we're on you, David, I'm wondering if you want to take a look at the relationships, and these will have to be rewritten a bit because they're from downtown rather than unique to this playset.
Yeah, no worries. I was unnecessarily amused by the oops. Cool. Yeah, I was amused by the drug trade one just because it says it says think more than your share of the profits from your werewolf dealer, and I'm just now imagining someone who trades werewolves. But I think,
well, they're pelts.
Yeah, I quite like that maybe Red has recently become the owner of a legendary artifact that I've been trying to get my hands on, and they've refused to part with it, but I'm determined to change their mind.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah,
it's a drug that makes you into a Texan werewolf.
So yeah, I think that's the one I'm going to go for. I think. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm determined to change your mind yet, but I think probably
out
by trying to get him out from under Wentworth's influence, I think is probably the way I'd put it.
Yeah, and I'm curious. This is just tying more things together. But feel free to nix this, Cleo. Are those your shoes?
Oh.
I'm thinking now about the like what is it, the story of the red shoes, or like the Latin fairy tale.
Yeah.
You put them on and you can't stop dancing. Yeah, maybe there's something of that in them. But yeah, they could be my shoes.
Yeah. We wear the same shoe size. Red is rather petite.
And Cleo's rather tall. It works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then finally Red.
Okay, so I have a bit of a question here because I think maybe I'm having an issue with the Google Doc because I just see waiting ... on the relationships. I don't see anything written.
Okay, has it not updated for you?
Yeah, let me try and refresh it and see if maybe it will do that. But okay, there we go. I just have to refresh
Yeah, you
it.
might have just
Now it's working.
disconnected or something.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. I think someone goes shopping with me at the ferry market. Who wants to go shopping at the ferry market? Does that sound like something someone would enjoy?
I'd definitely be up for that, but I'm also willing to defer to Cleo. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was searching for my unmute button. Yeah, I could go shopping at the ferry market. What can we get at the ferry market?
I don't know. What can we get? One thing we did do, though, was we did find accidentally uncover a scheme going on there. So this actually is the between. What scheme did we uncover at the ferry markets? Maybe we found someone who was selling like fake demoniac.
Yeah, I was gonna say like bootleg demoniac. If you just mix together the right amount of like pixie and red cat blood.
Yeah.
And so it's like it maybe gives you a little bit of something, but not enough. And I think to put part and parcel, their booth, like the reason we notice is I think maybe we're both sort of weirdly observant in a certain way because their booth changes location, but also changes who says they back them. So like at times they're like, yes, this is Bill's demoniac. Then at other times you call them, they're like, yes, this is Dante's demoniac.
Yeah.
So like they're putting names of actual like powerful players out there to legitimize themselves so they can sell out of this fake demoniac. And then we frequent it enough that when they pop up a few weeks later, we actually remember them.
Yeah.
But now they're like under a different name.
Yeah.
So they could possibly be like sullying the name of like Dante and Bill and some of these other power players.
I wonder if I told Dante about this. Possibly. I probably did. Yeah. And I feel like maybe I agreed to go shopping at the ferry market every Sunday as part of like this campaign to get Red to learn to enjoy the city a little bit and also to exert more influence on you so you continue to give me some revenge against
exert more influence because then you can also fuck over Wentworth by being like, I've taken your toy out of the townhouse.
I do just enjoy that both Cleo and Dante were like, nope, we're gonna pin both of our relationships to Red here, make him the center of everything.
He's just a good boy.
Yes,
good boy, naive ingenue,
waiting to be corrupted.
Yep. Came to New York City. It's gonna eat him alive.
But yeah, so that takes us through, I believe, the last of our major starting stuff. So I think that before we take our second break, now if you go over to the safety, and I'm just going to copy that link there. Let's see. And just pop it in here. If you could head over to the roller, we have starting moves, I believe, for both Red and Dante. I don't think Cleo has any starting moves, right?
Nope.
Don't worry, I'm sure you'll get some eventually. Yeah, if we could, if one of you could give me a roll for your starting moves to see what is going to happen. Let's start with you, Dante. If you could read off your starting move and make a roll for it.
Yeah, so my starting move is business as usual. When time passes or at the start of the game, roll with mind. On a hit, your usual operations provide an opportunity to advance one of your schemes or generate a new scheme. That was a weird emphasis I put there. On a 10 plus, I also pick one, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, basically this is to see if I've got a scheme on the go as we start up.
Well, even on a miss, you'll have a scheme on the go. It's just that it will be getting one of your someone you care about out of the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's drama time.
Wonderful, wonderful. So on a miss, we still generate the scheme as usual, but you pick 3 complications rather than 2, because I'm assuming that who is the character we had come up with? I have her written down here.
Laura Donahue, I think.
Laura Donahue has gotten herself into another situation with one of her cons.
Excellent. Yeah.
So yeah, let's actually just go through this, because whenever you generate a scheme, you tell me which complications and like if you go down to your schemes, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. So schemes are risky deals and shady cons designed to expand your business. When you generate a scheme, choose and mark a primary circle, one of my services, and 2 complications. Although, yeah, I think you said 3 in this case.
3 because of the miss.
Yeah. Cool. So I think I'm going to choose. Let's start off with power. I think because I think that could lead to some fun places, and I think the service I'm going to choose will be my appraising and selling magical objects. And the complications I'm going to choose are all of them. Oh no, sorry, no, there's 2 lines. Cool. I think I must fool a powerful and dangerous NPC. I have attracted the attention of dangerous opposition, and you need to steal something from a secure location. I'll just actually highlight those.
Cool. And we will find out what that scheme is after break. But Red, you also have a starting move, I believe, as an Oracle.
Yes. Do you want me to read it out loud, or should I just roll?
Sure. Give us a read out loud, because this is the first time we are seeing it.
Foretellings. Before each faction turn or at the start of the game, roll with spirit. On a hit, pick one of the options below after the faction turn. The MC will tell you what your prophetic tools have revealed, and then there's our little list. So we'll visit that after the roll and see what we can and perhaps can't do.
Cool.
A 12. So, yeah, on a pick one of the options below after the faction. Okay, so my options are: fate has provided an opportunity to fulfill your role for your benefactor. The MC will tell you how to seize it. An ally has come to own an item that might reveal more about your prophecy. The MC would tell you. A tragedy has made it possible for you to escape or alter your prophesized past. On a 7 to 9. Okay. I'm going to go, since we're starting, let's go with the first one. Fate has provided an opportunity to fulfill your role for your benefactor. The MC will tell you how to seize it.
Cool. So, oh, right. Let me just double check the last thing you picked there. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I think that as we kind of jump in on things here, I think that I want to open a scene framing around Dante at the Inferno. Uh, and I think that could you kind of set the scene for us, Dante? What is the mood of the Inferno tonight?
Yeah, so I think in terms of like how it looks, it's obviously it's a sort of basement space. It's got the big arched ceilings, but if you know, it's got that feeling more of a sort of uh, Gothic cathedral basement than the more utilitarian brick basement that it would presumably be in, given its location. It's mostly dimly lit throughout, like quite again that sort of reddish glow in a lot of places that gives it the impression of being lit by sort of torches and candles more so than electric light. And there is a number of different rooms rather than being kind of one big sort of space. It's more sort of lots of smaller self-contained rooms that each it's not exactly themed, but each kind of has their own, a bit of a vibe of their own, rather than some, obviously you've got like the bigger rooms. So there is like one central area which is where sort of the band plays, and so on and so forth, which is obviously a lot livelier. There's a lot of jazz music obviously is the primary entertainment here. But in some of the side rooms, things are a little different. There's one side room set up where there'll be people playing cards and gambling. Another that is has a lot more intimate space, shall we say, where people have more of an opportunity to get away with one another. And there does feel like just a slight sense of like separation between each of these rooms. That not much noise spills over from one to the other, almost like they're each of them is self-contained. I think on this particular night, the club is it's not like one of the big nights. It's not kind of like packed capacity, but there are a number of patrons in. And I think as we come in on sort of Dante, he is in one of those. It's one of those classic. He's got kind of the little the sort of ironwork balcony overlooking the main floor that he's kind of stood on, overlooking the scene below, drinking from a sort of martini glass, and smoking a cigarette, which I think he does have in, not one of the super long holders, but one of those kind of the shorter cigarette holders that's got some sort of red gem glittering on it.
Yes, and I think that as the night is proceeding on and business goes as usual, you see in saunters of Laura Donahue, and I imagine that she is wearing like a full flapper dress. She has a sequin clutch purse and one of those kinds of full hats that kind of comes over her ears a bit. And she comes up and very much in the French way kind of gives you a kiss on each cheek, kind of giving you that sort of partial hug, of not really wrapping the hands around you, but kind of putting her wrists on either shoulder. Dante, darling, it's been too long, too long.
Laura, you're looking swell tonight. It's good to see you here again.
Oh, and you, is that a new suit, or do my eyes deceive me?
Business is going pretty good at the minute, kid. Yeah, I treated myself.
Oh, yes. Well, I have some business for you that I think you would be very interested in.
Well, there goes my evening.
Oh, you wound me, Dante. Do you think I would come to you if I did not think it would profit us both?
I mean, I guess it all depends on what it costs us to get there. But come on, let's take this to my office.
Yes, and I think that, yeah, so yeah, you go together to your office, and she takes a seat across from you, and I imagine there's demoniac or whiskey or something sitting on your desk, and she pours herself a snifter and starts to sip at it. Well, dear, I have recently come into a very interesting situation. You see, there seems to be rather a lot of interest in this. What do you say? This. I don't know the period, but a rather interesting painting down at the Metropolitan that several buyers are interested in. But of course, the current owner of said painting, the one lending it to the museum, is not interested in selling.
Yeah, public adding a public museum. That's sort of thing's tricky to shift. We'd need to line up the buyers in advance. You say.
Oh, but you see, that's what makes it so wonderful. The buyers aren't looking to display it. And in fact, if we go all very well, I should think we could, sell it about twice over. And she gives you a little grin. Have you heard of the Wentworths? And if you could put a name to a face for me here, Dante.
Sure thing. That is, I believe that is just rolling with the. Sorry, here we go. Yeah, rolling with the circle, which I think is a -1 for me with power. Oops, no, wait, I'm confusing myself. Right, there we go. Right, no, that threw me. I read the wrong one. That's a 4.
Great. So if we go over to the basic and circle moves, we'll see that put a name to a face. When you put a name to a face, or vice versa, for an NPC, roll with their circle. On a hit, you know their reputation. The NPC will tell you what most people know about them. But on a miss, you don't owe them, or you don't know them, or you owe them a debt. MC's choice. I actually will throw this out to here. Do you think that this is, the Wentworths are pretty influential? I imagine you might have heard of them before. So
yeah, I was thinking that it's. I think it's probably more likely that I owe them than that I haven't heard of them, because yeah, I think they seem prominent enough. I'd have at least.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out to you then. Which of the Wentworths do you think you have history with?
I'm going to say actually, I will go for Chandler, because I think the fact that I tried to warn Emmett off from dealing with them implies that I had a reason to do so.
Cool. Why do you owe Chandler a debt?
I think it's probably. I think that Chandler commissioned me to get my hands on an artifact for him, but I think after I think maybe after I realized exactly what it was, I didn't go through with the deal. I'm just trying. Yeah, no, I think it was a conscious effort. Actually, no, I think maybe it was it was maybe a saint's relic that was being traded. I got my hands on it, but I think the Archbishop came to me, and I sort of donated it to him instead.
Cool. And
I think I probably returned the retainer that I'd been paid by Chandler, but he still does not consider that to have settled the matter.
Yes, she leans in. I have a plan to pass on a forgery to both of the to both of them while keeping the painting for ourselves.
Well, that's a ballsy plan, kid. I'll give you that. But are you so sure that the two of them will keep the secret from one another? It's not going to draw suspicion?
Dear, they've been trying to get a hold of that painting for years, and both has been blocking the other. They are not going to let their sibling know that they have the painting. And so this is kind of the complication of fooling the powerful NPC.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of a complication in the matter. You see, the forger I got to arrange matters has some history of working with a certain colleague of yours, I'm sure you know, Bill McCoy. And, well, it is a rather bit of a rush here to get a hold of the painting before he does. Before he can, as it were, cash in on these wealthy so-and-sos over in East Egg.
So your plan is we rip off Bill McCoy to con the Wentworths.
Oh, this is why I love working with you, Dante. You have such a quick grasp of the situation.
And I think he'll just kind of sigh and shake his head, but then I think he gets that kind of wicked gleam in his eye and says, well, we're we're damned anyway, so let's do it.
Oh, you're damned. I like to view it as a promotion. And she gives you a wink and downs the rest of her glass. And I think that this is where we shift to just outside of the meeting of this meeting. I think that what is Red, what is Red's, because you've been taken out on the town by Alex tonight. What is Red's outfit for the evening?
So I think Red's outfit is sort of slightly put together-ish, because he definitely had to sneak out of the townhouse apartment to go, which he feels incredibly bad about. And it was things that Alex brought for him to wear, so he didn't necessarily get a choice. And so I think there's a top, and it's sort of a burgundy color, and it's got its full sleeves, and it's like a nice colored top, but it's definitely like almost made into a crop top. And like several of the buttons are actually missing on the front, which is like, Alex, there's no buttons. And he's like, that's the point. And so there's only like 2 at like the midriff, so it's sort of exposing on both ends. And the pants are incredibly tight, and they're hellhound leather. And the boots are. He was told they're manicore. He doesn't know if he believes that. And I think he's got some rouge that's been like sort of hastily applied to his cheeks.
Yes, and I think that Alex is leaning their head on your shoulder by this point in the evening, and is saying, "Red, you are not keeping up with me. I mean, what drink are you even on?"
And Red just flushes and, well, it's technically my 3rd. But this is just seltzer water. It looks sort of sheepish.
I do not know how you can stand to drink water, Red.
Well, it's bubbly, and that sort of feels sort of giggly, right? Just like champagne. The bubbles are giggly, and he like sort of gives a soft smile.
Yes, and I think Alex gives a little eye roll and a kind of look of, whatever are we going to do with you? And I think, though, it's at that moment that you see coming out of the office someone that gets your attention. When you see her, you have a vision of a woman being led out of the underworld. And a kind of vision of Orpheus and Eurydice. And actually, let me just post into the chat here, because I just in the break I looked up images of Orpheus and Eurydice here.
Okay.
Let me just actually, might as well for if anyone is watching over here.
That's a beautiful painting.
Oh, whoops, sorry. This is...
I was going to say that it's not the picture.
Yeah, wrong one. Sorry.
That's okay.
That is not the picture.
Am I picturing her, obviously, as Eurydice, and then Dante as Orpheus?
Yeah, let me actually get rid of that screen and share the actual one. Let's see. Which one is this? Here we go. This is the correct one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I think that, yeah, you get that image, but you also have the image of a painting centered in the Metropolitan Museum. And I think you even see a painting where Cleo was seated with a young man in front of it. And I think that you almost want to step through the painting because you almost feel like the underworld lies on the other side of it.
Yeah,
and if you could roll to put a name with a face, and I think that, so you, just to check in, Dante here, we are saying that she is definitely a member of Wild.
Laura.
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah, I think I'm. No, yeah, I think maybe she is. I'm not 100% sure she is supernatural, but I think she's certainly associated enough with people that she's sort of part of that faction, if that makes sense.
Well, she could also be a member of Mortality, because Mortality for here is mostly going to be people who are supernatural adjacent.
Yeah. No, I think actually maybe she is a member of Wild. I think she is possibly she's possibly a changeling child, hence her propensity for getting into all sorts of
shenanigan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, con games and the like. She is an inveterate trickster.
Yeah. If you could give me a roll here, Red, of put a name to a face with Wild, and mark Wild on your keeper.
That would be 13.
Oh yeah, so let's go over to the circle moves and what you get on a 10+. So you do know them by reputation, and so here's the option. You can either learn something interesting and useful about them, or they owe you a debt, your choice.
Let's go with they owe me a debt. Got to accrue some. I owe a lot of debts and I don't have that many.
Yeah, cool. So you know that she is what we've kind of established earlier. She is a con artist of some renown in certain circles. Also a well-known gambler and card shark. But I think that how have you run into her before? Have you actually caught her out in one of her cons because of your powers in the past?
I think I gave her a warning that she should really be heeding now, but at the time, at least she did, which was we were at an establishment, perhaps we were at Dulce's, the Myths, and she was attempting to slip something into a drink for Chandler so that she could then fleece his pockets when he probably stumbled out drunk or drugged. And Emmett intercepted the drink and was just like, he is under protection, and B, you do not want to deal with the fallout of this. And then just handed her $20 and was just like, just go.
But yes, you see her coming out of Dante's office, and there's definitely, you have a feeling that she is somehow connected to your patron's interests, and this painting is as well. What do you do, Red?
I look at Alex and I put my hand on his, and I lean in a whisper and I say, tell you what, chum, if you do me a favor right now and you see that woman, and he's going to point to Laura, probably way too obviously, and he's going to be like, if you can just distract her for a mum so I can speak to her partner, I'll try demoniac.
Oh, yes. Alex gives you a smile and says, I thought you would never ask. And he immediately walks over to her, and throws his drink in her face.
Oh!
How dare you! You thought I didn't know about the two of you? And she is sputtering because she is definitely trying to work through her head. Who has she slept with recently that might have been connected to Alex?
I love this. And I think Red sort of comes around from behind.
Oh, and actually, do you have a debt on Alex that you could cash in?
I
here?
do.
Yeah.
I do.
Did you want to spend that?
No, because I'm trading to drink demoniac instead.
Okay. I was just saying, actually, because remember, you can mark their circle if you use it.
Oh, what's their circle again? Their Mortalis?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I'll cash in the debt. I'll get more later. But
I think sort of Dante's immediate response will just be to sort of turn to Alex and say, "Kid, just so you know, normally that'd get you thrown out of here on your ear, but he's going to glance over to Laura. She probably had it coming."
and I think after you say that, maybe when they're to look at each other, Emmett's going to sort of sneak up around behind, and just like there's a gentle tap to your shoulder. Mr. Bricks, may I have a moment of your time? Your companion seems busy.
Oh, hey, Red. I ain't seen you in here for a bit. How's life treating you?
Oh, it's really lovely. Yes, I haven't been out much lately. Busy. And he's going to sort of slip his hand sort of demurely into yours and start leading you back to your office.
Sure. I will allow myself to be led.
Are you a fan of the classics, Mr. Bricks?
I dabble a little, certainly.
Mm-hmm. That woman? I know you deal with the special sort, the sort that sort of makes the demoniac. She wants you to do something. Don't do it.
Does one of you want to read the other here?
Yeah. I think at the minute,
or figure someone out.
Dante's going to keep it a little. Is sort of more. Is going to say, yeah. That's probably good life advice, kid. But me and Laura go back for my sins.
I think he goes and like sort of perches himself on the desk, kicks his legs around a little. Sins is sort of exactly where I'm going. You like where you are, and you're very good at it, and you've made a really nice place for a lot of people. You're going to lose it if you follow her.
You still hanging around with Wentworth kid?
Mm-hmm. I live with him. He's my benefactor.
I have an inkling of how that sort of thing goes. I appreciate the warning, kid. I don't know what you heard or what you think you heard, but
It's not what I've heard, Mr. Bricks. It's what I've seen. And like, he makes eye contact with you, and his eyes are these very nice blue, but you watch as this sort of like almost flush sheen of red sort of passes over, and like almost like a filter over his eyes for but a moment.
So, what have you seen then, kid?
Do you know who Orpheus is?
The poet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went to the underworld.
She's going to make you look back. She's trying to make you look back. Whatever it is she's trying to get you to do. And he looks sort of like slightly somber as he says it. But it's strange because a lot of times when he mentions the sort of aspects of the prophecy, it's almost like there's no affectation there. Almost slightly monotone, as if it's just sort of like a settled in fact.
Yeah, this sounds like you're letting it out to channel a powerful prophecy from beyond concerning a present character.
Ooh, yeah. I'll roll that. Letting it out is spirit also. 11.
Yeah, so on a let it out on a 10 plus, you either so on a hit, you mark corruption and activate the ability. The MC will tell you how the effect is costly, limited, or unstable. On a 10 plus, ignore the corruption or the complications, your choice.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look at the let it out for this again. I think I'll take the corruption and ignore the complications for the moment.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to frighten or impress. Oh, no, that's not what it is. Channel powers are, beyond concerning a person. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's when a name comes to you, Red. Asmodeus.
Mr. Bricks. I think she might be in league with them. And he's heard that name before. He knows what it is. So he says it in like the tiniest of baby whispers, which I'm not going to, or else you wouldn't hear me. She's in league with Asmodeus.
And I think we're going to cut the scene to fade out there. And at that point, I think we flip over to Cleo at the museum. Cleo, how does it feel to be back in front of this painting that you were with someone you were, I think you said, in love with?
Yeah, I think that the person who was at the painting was the father of her child, who I think was a soldier and like did end up dying in the war. And I think that she's a ghost, so why can't he be a ghost? So she goes there just in case he ever shows up again. But I think it's long enough now that being back in front of it it's comforting almost to know that this is still here.
Yes, and I think it's at that moment that you feel it feels strange here, not comforting like it usually does. And I think that as you look at the painting, the trees turn from green to a flickering red, almost like they're on fire. And you feel that there is something coming through the painting, you only need to listen closer to hear it. And you can
Yeah.
go ahead and mark trauma, but you take +1 ongoing to all moves until you see your anchor to safety.
Cool.
What
Yeah,
do
I
you
think
do, Cleo?
that like at this moment I am not trying to manifest at all. So like if there are normal people, they probably don't sense or interact with me. But I think what I do is I like walk closer to it and touch it. Docents can't yell at you if you can't leave fingerprints. And I think is there a move here?
I think that this might be investigate a place of power.
Okay.
And I will give you the option. You can roll with Night or Wild here because, well, I'm going to say roll with Wild.
Okay.
That is what is in power here right now.
Do I mark Wild or do I just roll with the -1?
Yes, you do get to mark it.
Okay.
But you also take +1 forward here because it is
so it's
related
flat.
to.
Cool. The 7.
Cool. So let us see here. On a 7, when you study a place of power, on a hit, you see below the surface to the reality underneath. The MC will reveal an area, NPC, or item located with it that is not what it seems. And I think that you haven't felt it before, but I think it's when you're looking at it now that you begin to feel that this place is a doorway between things, between places. And among the shades, you see not the kind of faceless shades that the Greeks that are popularly portrayed, but there is a man in a very well-trimmed suit. And he looks up at you, Cleo, and around at the painting. Fancy digs, no?
She looks around to see if there's anyone else he could be talking to.
Do you think there are many dead dames I talk to on a regular basis?
Well, I haven't seen you here before, and I come here a lot.
Oh, I know about that. Missin' old lover boy, no?
Also, to clarify, is this a person in the painting?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yes. Why haven't you spoken before if you've been here?
You know, there are rules. What with immigration forms and whatnot. Hard to make the crossing sometimes.
You immigrated to a painting.
Well, it's less a painting and more a port of entry, you might say.
Why are you talking to me?
Well, I'm talking to you, all because I think the two of us can be very useful to one another. You see, what is a port of entry but something that might permit a spirit from one side to the other? And I think you have someone you've been missing quite a bit.
Is you... I think she's definitely doing as much thinking as she looks like she's doing. No. You're offering me him. In exchange for what?
You see, the thing is about doors, a lot of them lock from one way. Do you hear me? What I'm saying?
Well, everyone knows that thing about doors.
And the thing is, the lock isn't over here on my side.
I see. You would want me to unlock a door for you.
Yeah.
What else is on the other side of that door? I've been around quite a bit, and I can walk through doors, and I've seen some things I do not want to see walking through doors.
Yeah, this is figure someone out here.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me a roll with mind.
Cool. A -1. Do I still have a +1, or did I use that already?
Let's see. I think it's ongoing. So
Is it
yes,
ongoing?
you can take
Okay.
a +1 here as well.
And it's flat. That's an 8.
Cool. So you get to ask 2.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess. If I ask what's your character hoping to get from me, is that going to give me any more information than open a door?
Sure. Yeah, it would. I'd always
Okay.
give useful information
Yeah,
rather
okay.
than just screwing you over with something like that. This isn't like, advanced D&D.
Okay. Yeah, I will ask that. Like, was
Yeah,
there
I
toned
think-
the way that they're talking?
I think that you see, I have a compatriot over on, well, not a compatriot, a former employee over on your side that, well, you might know him. He's a certain Dante. He reneged on a contract we agreed to a long while back. And I want to remind him that you don't walk away from me.
I know
And
Dante.
Dante is David's character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you going to say something else?
Yeah. And I'd say, what's your character hoping? Yeah, I'd say, what's your character hoping to get? I'll phrase this kind of widely, because he does kind of use it. What does your character hope to get from me beyond, like, if he could offer you something else in addition to your lover's soul?
I think, like, Cleo's deepest wish is to rewind time, essentially, to have the death at war not happen and have like a family of like the 3 of them. But like, I mean, if that can't happen because time travel is difficult, we can at least reunite all of us, reunite her daughter as well.
Yeah, time's disappointing like that. But I'll tell you what, I can take away the bad memories. That just requires certain other ingredients, though. You need someone with a connection to time. Just some of their blood scurried about. Get me that and I can see what I can do. And you get one more question.
Yeah.
And I would say you recognize definitely when he says someone connected to time, he's definitely talking about an oracle.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think My second question is going to be who's pulling your character's strings? As in, is he doing this entirely for himself? Or is there something bigger?
I think, yes, I think that he looks at you kind of angrily as you kind of probe about that and says, Asmodeus doesn't work for anyone but Asmodeus. And I think that you get the sense, though, that there's some insecurity there. That Asmodeus is doing the bidding of someone above even him.
I think Cleo is going to give like a sort of like a half smile, like, well, I'm sure a lot of people like to say that about themselves. But I know how it is in this world, and I can't be that different in your world, but everyone's got to work for someone else. But you make a strong offer. I assume your immigration papers don't let you leave the painting? Or will I have to find you elsewhere if I want to accept?
I'll find you if we need to get into contact again. But let me leave you with this. And he taps on the shoulder of one of the shades, and you see it take on the face of your dead love. And then you're alone again in the gallery, but the painting is back to normal, except for that one shade. And I think that's where we end for the evening.
Screams.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. If you are with us, if you've been with us, I'm gonna take us off. Well, yeah, I'll just say have a good day, morning, whatever all, and I am going to be taking us off the stream now.